Grab your scrap fabric. Today we're making something from the heart. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm Jackie and I love using scrap fabric to make scrap fabric quilt blocks in a quilt as you go fashion. Today we're going to use some of those quilt blocks that I have stacked up here to make my long-awaited version of my prayer journal. Today we're making the 2025 version of my prayer journal. However, this year I'm calling it the Prayer Journal Portfolio. We'll be using only scrap fabric, and it looks like this. I'll be showing you my previous two versions that I sold in previous craft shows and why I'm going with this version for this year. I've upgraded the design to use a simple paper notebook and a prayer insert. The last versions took quite a bit of time to put together, and I really like making them. They sell really well at the craft shows. This one is a bit more streamlined without losing any of the meaning, beauty, and scrappiness. And to celebrate 15,000 subscribers here on my YouTube channel, I'll be offering the templates to make these booklets that go inside of your prayer journal portfolio. It's just blank paper on the inside, but you'll get the cover and the back, a little prayer insert, as well as the labels. Just my way of saying thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will also be including in the description box below how I print these labels on my home inkjet printer and how to print the pattern that is provided today. Look for all of that in the description box below. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm going to bring you down to the table so we can get started. The first thing I want to do is show you previous versions of my prayer journals. This one was all fabric. It did have a label and it looked like this. Really cute, and I do have a video on how I made these. It has my same signature mustard seed bottle. There's a mustard seed in there. And I had a little pin with a cross on there. And these were all fabric pockets with little cards for your prayers. It talked about the junk journal, the prayer junk journal. Just a lot of fun things, but it was all fabric. People did love them. This is my last one that I have, but these were labor intensive. These took a long time to make. This was my version for last year. This was my scrappy prayer journal, and it just had some papers in here, but I just felt like, even though these sold as well, I only have one left, I just felt like it was kind of lumpy. And then I had a handy reference list of emergency Bible verses. I thought that this was really cute. And what else did I have in here? About the mustard seed. So I had a little card in here for that, and I used jeans. So that was the last, this is the last one of these. But for this year, I will show you my prototype. It took quite a few weeks to come up with what I wanted to do for that. But here it is. And it just has a simple tie on it, and we're going to have to modify this because I needed to come up with the exact dimensions. But it has a little prayer card for this pocket, and the prayer is for all of you. Heavenly Father, thank you for being here with us today. You know our hearts, our joys, and our struggles. Please guide us in everything we do and help us to trust you completely. Bring comfort when we're hurting, peace when we're worried, and strength when we feel weak. Let your love fill us so fully that it spills into the lives of those around us. We thank you for your constant presence and your endless grace. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. And I will include this little prayer in your prayer journal portfolio kit. There will be a download link, like I said, in the description box below. And then this year I just made some simple notebooks. They are all different. This one says, "You are beautiful. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity in their hearts, except that no one can find out the work that God does from beginning to end." And then it has the Bible verse, but these are just simple pieces of paper. On the back is Matthew 17:20. It talks about the mustard seed. This is the cover I made with cardstock. This cardstock is from my beautiful friend Kathy. She gave this to me many years ago. I don't know if she'll remember or not, but it's like an aged cardstock. The paper inside is just a simple parchment paper. It does have a mark on it. I don't know if you can see that, but simple parchment paper. And I put 5 sheets of paper in it, and I just sewed down the center. For that, I do have a bottle I keep my old needles in, and I just pulled out one of those old needles and did a straight stitch right down the center. Folded it in half, and I have a cute little notebook. This one says, "You are courageous, you are chosen, you are held, you are forgiven, you are free, you are precious." And they all have different Bible verses as well. You are guided, you are enough, you are always loved, you are amazing, you are created, you are victorious, you are never alone, you are strong. So you'll get all of these covers in your kit, as well as all of the labels that go on the front. And I just printed these on my Epson printer. And you will get the pattern so that you can cut out your piece. So let me show you what I have going on here. This is an old clip-on earring, but you can use a button there or whatever you want to embellish it. I just sewed on a ribbon here that will get wrapped around. Nothing fancy. I have my label right here. I'm going to include a pin because all the pens and stuff are on sale right now because of back to school. Don't mind this pocket. I had an idea that I wanted a pocket there, but I changed my mind. I don't want that. And then this will go in here. And then if you wanted, you could add some lace in here or whatever you wanted. And then I have my signature mustard seed bottle. I get these little bottles from the dollar store, and it looks like that. And I just put 1 mustard seed in it. I glue the cork inside there, and then I glue this little hook. Hopefully you can see that little hook right there. And then I just have these little bulb pins. I think I got these at Hobby Lobby, but I think you can get them on Amazon as well. And then I just have a string that I tied on there, and I put some beads and a little cross at the end. And there's the little cross that I tied on the end, and I just put a knot. And then here I put a loop, and I'm just going to put the pin in the loop, and you can pin that wherever you want, but you can embellish these to your liking. I just love the idea of these pins and having this mustard seed on there, and that is my idea. So let's try to make another one so you can see how to do it. And then you can wrap this ribbon however you want, just like that. And this is just seam binding that I coffee stained, but use whatever ribbon you have. First of all, let me go over the supplies. I kind of told you most of them, but you're going to need a quilt top. To make it easy, I just made it 17 inches by 10.5 inches. You're going to need the pocket, and I double backed it, and then I put some interfacing on the inside of one side just to give it a little body. This is 12 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. And a backing fabric, and again I cut this to 17 inches wide by 10.5 inches tall. What I am going to do is when I get ready to sew it, there's no turning. I am going to do an overlocking stitch. I'll put a picture of what it looks like on my machine up above. I'm going to do an overlocking stitch all the way around. We're just going to keep this simple. If you had a serger, you could do a serger all the way around. That would be keeping with the scrappy integrity of the piece. So you'll need 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, so you could do a really cute cardstock on the outside, and then whatever printer paper you have on the inside. For these, this is simple cardstock. I just have a ton of this on hand for my paper crafting days. You will need your labels for the front if you're going to do that. And I printed these on muslin. Let's see, buttons or a vintage brooch. Again, if you want to do a button here, you could do that. Beads, hooks, and a small bottle for the mustard seed if you'd like. Mustard seeds. And I just have a whole can of these. Pen to do some marking. Scissors, pens or clips, rulers, sewing machine, and thread. And that's it. So we want to look at this. If I put this here like this, if I lay my pattern on here to trace it, it's not going to work out right. See that? So what I need to do is flip this over, and I want to see, because I want this to be this way, I think. But anyway, you have to go with the batting side, if that makes sense, and do your tracing, which will be easier anyway, because then you can see it. And I'm just going to line it up. I think I wanted it this way, but it's whatever's pleasing to the eye. Yes, this is how I wanted it. Perfect. And it is as easy as just tracing on here. Just trace all the way around like this. And if you wanted to do a version that doesn't have raw edges, you could simply sew this right sides together with the pocket in there, leave a hole for opening, and turn it inside out and just sew along the outside. That will work too. I just like that raw edge look. And here's what we have. And then I'm just going to cut around where I marked. It's that easy. That way you can spend more time embellishing it than constructing it. We like easy here, but it still retains its meaning. And it's small enough you can carry it with you, just like that. I'm not using batting today. I'm actually using leftover flannel from my ugly quilt projects. But if you wanted it more fluffy, you could most certainly use batting. And all I did for my quilt top is I took leftover orphan blocks, and this is what I'm going to be using for the prayer journals, because I have plenty. I'm just going to go through here and use those up. And this is our outside. And you're just going to kind of gauge how you're going to want it. I believe if you measure in, where's my ruler? If you measure in 6 inches, I think that's going to be the center. Like that's going to be the center. And then your book will slide in like that, because our pocket is going to go in here. Next we have our backing fabric. Again, turn it over, trace that. Yes, I could have cut those both together, right? But I didn't, which is fine. We'll go ahead and line that up and cut that out. No problem. So you need to get busy making a bunch of quilt blocks so you can make your prayer journals. You could make them and give them to someone who could really use it. That would be really nice. Just give it as a gift. And we're just cutting around there. And this one I may have needed to cut. I think, no, it should be okay. I was thinking it wasn't gonna work, but it will work. Don't even need rulers for this one. You don't even have to cut straight. Look at that. I promise you, whoever you give this to, they will cherish it. There we go. Let's just make sure. Yep, that's how I want it. It's a little off, but it's going to be okay. That's how I want it. Then I am going to butt up the pocket. It'll go like that because this will fold over. When we get to that point, we'll sew this down the center, and then we'll mark off 3 1/4 inches for the pocket for the pen, wherever I put that. Let me grab the pen out of here. You need to make your pocket for that 3/4 inches. We're not quite ready for that yet. We need to just put this aside. We know that it's going to be about 6 inches is right there. We're going to grab a label, eyeball that, take it to the sewing machine. Let me pin that down. If you wanted, you could put some interfacing on it. I might do that. but I'm going to put some interfacing on this. I'm going to just do a simple stitch all the way around to stitch it down, and I'll be right back. I have the label on, and I just did a simple blanket stitch to get that on there. So I'll take my pin out, and I did want to show you on my quilted piece, I just put some little swirlies all over to attach it to the batting. Next, we are ready to add our liner and the pocket. Just line that up the best you can. I think what I want to do first is go ahead and sew down the pocket in the center and for our pen hole. That way it won't show on the front. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I think I'm marking out 6 inches. Wrong pen. 6 inches and then 3/4 of an inch. And that's just going to be a straight stitch. And then if I take my booklet, I should have enough room to slide that in there, and I will. So I'll go ahead and attach the pocket to the liner, and I'll be right back. And all I did is, this is our curved side, this is our straight side, and then I'm just going to stitch down here on this and stitch this down, and this is a raw edge, so I will do an overlock stitch right there. So straight stitch, and then the overlock right there. And I'm just going to do it on the lining. I am back from the sewing machine, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but I just did the pocket for the pen, and we'll just make sure it fits. So that'll be 3/4 of an inch, and if you wanted, you could even do more. That would be perfectly fine. And then we're going to make sure that our little book fits in here, and it does. Awesome. So what's left to do is, let's line this up. Oh, and here is the overlock stitch. So that's good. We have that done. So let's just get some clips around here, because we're just going to go all the way around with that overlock. Now this is going to be kind of floppy. If you don't like that style, all you need to do is add some interfacing to this. That would work. That would stiffen everything up a little bit. But I kind of like the floppy journal. It's like holding a quilt to me. So we are just going to clip all the way around. Just like that. And we will do that overlock stitch, like I said, all the way around. So you could make a bunch of these in one sitting. And it's okay if some of the flannel or the batting peeks out. That gives it that organic look. That'll be just fine. And then it's going to be like this. And then we're going to attach our ribbon and a button or a brooch right there. And then we will add the mustard seed with the beads. But I am going to go do that, and I'll be right back. I'm back from the sewing machine, and this is what the edge looks like. Hopefully you can see that. That is the overlock stitch, and I just did that all the way around. And then this is what the front looks like. See if I can get that. There we go. This is what the front looks like. Next, what we want to do is decide. It's going to go like that. So we have to sew a little ribbon on here, like we did with this. This is the seam binding, but you could certainly use lace. Let me see what I have in my lace pile here, if I have anything This would be really pretty. And then all you need to do, I just put it like this and flipped it over and just did a straight stitch back and forth on there to secure that. And then that should wrap around a couple times for you. So that would be really pretty. So I think we'll do that. I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew that on there, and I'll be right back. All right, we've got our ribbon on there. Next, I've got a pile of vintage buttons and earrings and such in here from my antique shop days. I'm sure there's something here. I think this would be really pretty, and we could use this for the button. I think this is really pretty. So we'll try to stick that in there. And we'll put that. It may take a little finagling because you have to poke it through, kind of like your earrings or your ears growing over because you haven't worn pierced earrings in years. And then you might have to glue that on there so that it stays, because this may come off. So I think I will give that a dab of clear gel, and we'll see if that holds that on there. And I'm just gonna put a little bit right and on there, and that should hold that. But how pretty is that? So when you see a bag of those earrings, those vintage earrings, you should grab those if they're really cheap and use them in your projects. All right, so there's that. And then let me show you what I have here. I just simply have a bulb pin, which I showed you earlier. You can get a bunch of these in a package like this and use them for so many things. And then for the string, this is, I wrote it down so I would know what it was because this is not the original packaging, but this is called Coffee Brown Waxed Polyester Leather Cord. And I think it is so pretty. And again, I just took a little bit of this so it'll last a long time. And I just made a loop with a knot. And then I have the little bottles. They look like this, and they all have mustard seeds in them. And then, like I said, I glued that right there. And then these little hooks. Let me see if I can find one of the little hooks. This is what I use for my beads. You can kind of see in there. And then I have some crosses. But when I make my prayer journals, I just put all these in a little container. And my favorite are these Buckeye beads. And if you search Buckeye beads on Etsy, there's a gal on there that sells those. I didn't find these little hooks, but you can get them, I believe, at Hobby Lobby. And hopefully you can see the little hook there that goes in the cork. But here is the package for the Buckeye beads. If you're a Buckeye like me, you know why I needed these. And again, just some more beads on there, and then the cross. You can get crosses at most craft stores, just like that. Let's go ahead and attach this. You can attach it anywhere you want. Maybe I would put it on the pocket and let it dangle. You could do that. Perfect. And then we'll take one of our prayer cards and put that there. We'll put our pen in here and our booklet. And you are all set. This is perfect because if you wanted to add some lace like I did here, you could do that. My friend Carol gifted me all of this lace. So I will certainly be adding some lace in here. So feel free to embellish with what you have, or don't embellish, and then the person that receives it can do their own embellishing. That's an idea as well. I made this little pin, and it's just some lace, and then I used some twine, fabric twine, to go around, and then this just has a button in the center, and this could go in here like that. That would be really pretty. So many possibilities. So please let me know what you think. All right, and then we can easily fold it up like this and take it wherever you want to go. You'll always have it with you. If someone says, please pray for me, you can write their name in here and you'll always have it available. Before we move on to our Bible verse and devotional for today, I'd like to give a special shout out to a couple of quilting channels that really brighten my day. First, there's Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I know there are several of you here that enjoy her channel as well. She's got such a creative spirit, and I love her sewing machine too. And also, Simply Quilting with Nancy Sanders. Nancy has such a gentle, encouraging style, and her tutorials are just wonderful. I'll have both of their links in the description box below, so please go say hello, subscribe, and let them know that I sent you. Be sure to check out their channels and give them some love. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a Bible verse and a final thought to encourage you. The Bible verse is from Philippians 1 verse 3. I thank my God upon every remembrance of you. When we think of thankfulness, it's easy to start with the big blessings. But often, the sweetest gratitude is for the people God has placed in our lives, like all of you. Let's keep praying for those we love, lifting them to the Lord, and letting them know they matter. Our prayers can travel wherever we cannot, and God hears every single one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you for your comments, for sharing and subscribing. It means more to me than you'll ever know. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until the next video, God bless you.